Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, the DRF.com Formulator Race of the Day for Sunday, October the 29th is race number 9 at Santa Anita. Let's take a look at the field for the Grade 3 Autumn Miss Stakes for 3-year-old fillies going 1 mile on the turf. It's a big field, and head on over to the Race of the Day event page on DRF.com. Download your free Formulator Pass performances and handicap along with us as we take this field in post-position order. Several horses, Matt, enter this race off an effort in the Unzip Me Stakes, a down-the-hill event on September the 30th. One of them, Kathy's Song, finished an even fourth that day. Perhaps stretching out around 2 turns will really help her out.
Yeah, because you go back to that run 2 starts back, she was victorious. I know that was in non-winners of 2 other than, but I feel like distance is going to be just fine for her. The question becomes, do you think she's quite this good? From a buyer standpoint, she's not far off. From a time form standpoint, she's not far off. I just do wonder if she's quite as good, or if you can project any sort of major improvement for her as opposed to some of these other girls.
She's solid. She's been in the exactest 70% of the time, but she has started 10 times. I'm not sure if we can expect that explosive improvement after all of those prior starts, but she does have good tactical speed, and maybe she'll be able to sit a nice pace-tracking, ground-saving trip. The 2 is Miss Southern Miss, and despite coming off a long layoff in the Unzip Me, she was bet down to 3-1 favoritism, and that really says a lot, I think. Her prior turf race, the Surfer Girl, is a 2-year-old filly. Wow, what an explosive late bid, and there's going to be some pace for her here.
Yeah, she was awesome in that last race as a 2-year-old, and then it took her a little while to get back to the races. They tried her in the Las Virgenes, and then she's gone for a long, long time. The most recent start, Keith DeSormo, the only thing just keep in mind, does very, very well second off the layoff, so I would expect a forward move from her here.
And again, a hot pace would work to her advantage. She needed fitness from that last start, her first race in a very long time. The 3 is Beautiful Becca, stepping up in class for trainer Jerry Hollendorf for a winner of an entry-level optional claimer last time. A big balloons, 34-1, now gets a big class test.
That's the big thing here. Look, I'm not going to talk you off because you're going to get another good number in this spot, but the fact that she was 34-1 in non-winners and 1 other than group, that makes me wonder what kind of price is she going to be in this spot. And truthfully, if you look at it from a speed figure standpoint, she's just kind of slow.
Tapped, one of 3 in here, trained by Richard Baltus, ran in the Unzip Me as well, far back in the early portion of that race, altered course to the outside in the lane and came with a good strong run. Now that race, the pace sort of collapsed in there. It probably helped Tapped, but I did think that she was a little bit better with the addition of blinkers than we'd seen in her prior starts, and she's going to get a hot pace yet again.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I never liked any of her races prior to that. I always thought she was much more sizzle than steak, and then go back and watch the Unzip Me. She really powered home. If you look at the incremental fractions, she came home in 27-1 down the hill. That's a really, really legitimate come-home time. I don't know about the distance. I do wonder what ultimately her game is, because you see, they've done everything with her at this point in her career. I will say, though, that seemed like that was far and away the best effort of her career.
It's a fair point, though, because both of her wins have come sprinting, and this race was sprinting. Maybe stretching out to a mile isn't what she wants, but it's only a mile, and she's going to get a fast pace. The 5's chocolate-coated. Now, this one is a lightly raced filly. She's only started 5 times. She earned an 85 buyer last time out, which is competitive with these horses, and we can project improvement, I think, for a horse this lightly raced.
And, you know, if you want to allay any fears about the distance, she's won going 2 turns on dirt already in her career, so I don't think that's going to be any sort of an issue. The concern now becomes, is she quite this good? Is she as talented as some of the other girls in this spot? She tried the dirt in the Torrey Pines 2 back, didn't work. I wonder, getting back to the turf and stretching out, maybe that's what she's wanted all along.
Cutback's really good going down the hill, and I think that helped storm the hill as well as the fast pace up front. She came with a good strong run, just outfinished Tapped, earned an 88 buyer speed figure, career best for her. She's going to get another fast pace. I just wonder if her kick's going to be as effective at this 2-turn distance as it was sprinting.
I mean, you just look at her overall body of work. Her best races against winners have come going down the hill. When she's faced winners going long, it just has not worked out. And I know she broke her maiden going long, but I think she's a really kind of a down-the-hill sprinter.
Interesting long shot in here is the 7 Domestic Vintage. This one has won 2 out of her last 3 starts against weaker competition for trainer Neil Drysdale. And while the buyer speed figures look a little bit light, you and I were talking before we came on the air, that time form US fig for the last race is very strong.
Highest last out in the field with a 120. That's a giant, giant fig. I do wonder, is that just a product of the fillies that she was running against, the fillies and mares, because she was facing older in that spot? But I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. If you believe that number, she's a major, major player in here, and she's going to be a big number.
Let's take a look at the Timeform U.S. pace projector for this race. I mentioned that we expect a fast pace. The red bar that you see in the pace projector indicates it should be fast. And the 8 Spin Me a Kiss, a gate-to-wire winner, 2 starts back, going 2 turns, is expected to be among the early leaders. Now, I guess if you want to simply make an argument that of the horses coming out at the Unzip Me, you would want Spin Me a Kiss because she was really the only part of the pace to still be punching on at the end. I get that, but she's got another tough situation in front of her.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like she's going to be able to get any sort of a break on the front end, and I agree with you. If you want to look at it just simply from a dynamic standpoint and a handicapping 101, she was the one that was closest to the pace down the hill last time. It fell apart, X, Y, and Z. The problem is all 3 of her wins have come in gate-to-wire fashion, and if she's going to clear off to the front, according to that, she's going to be going fast. I can't imagine her holding on late.
The number 9, third on the Timeform U.S. pace projector, is a horse that you and I have been a little bit of a fan of, and that's Meadow Sweet, who was a gate-to-wire winner 2 starts back. Despite trying to get out a little bit on the far turn, she was green. In the Del Mar Oaks, she was far from embarrassed. She finished ahead of 3 of these common foes. The 3rd-place finisher, Madame Dancelot, came back to run 3rd in the Grade 1 Queen Elizabeth II Challenge at Keeneland with a 94 buyer. Lightly raced, a lot of upside, but another horse that likes to be forward.
That's the only reason I didn't put her on top. I picked her 2nd in this, but I think there's a lot of things to like about her. The problem is she's a little bit green still, and I don't know that she's going to be able to help herself but to kind of relax and come day hand for Evan Roman. If she does, I think she's got a giant chance in here because talent. I can make the case she's just as talented as anybody else in this field.
We've seen Richard Baltus take some of these horses from Canada and do very, very well on the turf. Here's a private purchase, the number 10 Reverse, 3rd last time out, going a 1-turn mile on turf in the Grade 3 Ontario Colleen. I thought it was a solid enough performance, but thus far, I kind of like her better on the synth.
Yeah, on the synth, I mean, you just look at her, she's 3 for 7 lifetime as opposed to the 1 for 5 on the turf. I understand she wasn't embarrassed in that last race. Note that that was the first time that they tried to stretch her out into any sort of distance. They'd kept her at shorter races in the past. I'm not entirely convinced that distance is going to be her friend.
I'm going to try to fade Lolan here, the number 11. I think that she obviously can win. She has the credentials for Christophe Clement, but if she was going to do it, wasn't it going to be the San Clemente? And I know Madame Dancelot's a very nice filly and a little bit better, but she just had her own way on the front end, and she gets goofy with her lead changes in the stretch. I also like her sprinting. I don't like her around 2 turns.
Yeah, the longer you get with her, I think the more sort of thin we get. I think she's much more going in that 7/8 of a mile sort of situation. I have to be honest with you. I understand Morticia is a nice filly. I was kind of disappointed in that Buffalo Trace Franklin County. I thought she should have done a little bit better. I thought she should have come with some sort of bid. And again, keep in mind, she's wheeling back in 16 days.
Yeah, this is a big ask for the 11 Lull, especially considering that she's 2nd, I believe, on the Timeform U.S. pace projector. Fast pace could work against her. Can you make a case for Bernina Star? She's a 13-time runner. She's won a couple of times, but she's only raced once prior on turf, and that was a very salty edition of the China Doll Stakes, a race that produced 4 next-out winners, and Beau Recall, the runner-up. We know what she can do. She's run 5 times since then, 3 placings, best buyer of 92, and she'll get some pace.
I suppose you can make the case that from that outside post, if she works out some sort of a tracking trip and lets the pace go, and then if it just falls apart and she falls into her lap, then maybe she's interesting. I just have never loved any of the races that she's run at this point. The career best buyer of 81 after 13 starts. Are we going to get that big forward move? The only thing is, if you want to look at that and play devil's advocate, she's only been on the turf 1 time in her career.
Sandy Surprise, the number 13, has only raced twice on turf without any sort of success, but a winner last time out on dirt with a 91 buyer. Was it one of those Los Al Mirages?
I mean, based on her page, yes, 100%, because she's never at that point, she had never run anything faster than a 75, and all of a sudden she jumps up to a 91. I don't know if I buy it.
Almost Carla. What a nice $25,000 claim by trainer Bill Morey. She has won her last 3 races. She deserves a chance against graded stakes competition, but her buyers are light, and she just gets a lousy post position. She also likes to be forward.
That's the thing. Boy, her preferred running style. She's going to be forwardly placed in a race where there's going to be some serious gas in here.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Grade 3 Autumn Miss Stakes. You like the 2 Miss Southern Miss, and again, I understand she's going to get pace. She now has that comeback race under her belt, and I think the price has to be somewhat square considering the bulk of this field.
Yeah, I can't imagine her being anything less than 6-1 in here, and I hope that I could get even more than that. It just kind of felt like one of those things when Kent knew that she wasn't kicking, kind of take care of her, let her run a little bit at the end, but realize that distance is going to be your friend, second off the long layoff. I just think there's a lot to like here. If she runs anything close to that 2-year-old race that she ran, the Surfer Girl, I think she's got a big chance.
You're going to go 2, 9, 4, and 7. Before we came on, I told you I liked the 4 tapped, and you looked at me like I had to revoke the public handicap card.
I went back and looked at the Unzip Me again, and boy, the way that she finished, it was just, I think it's a combination of things. Keep in mind, that was her first start for Richard Baltas, and it was her first start with blinkers, and she had never shown that sort of real finish in any of her other races. I can either hope that it's just the blinkers and the change of scenery, or is it her going down the hill that really kind of accentuates that late kick? That's the only reason I'm a little bit washy on it.
That's really the key. She'll get some pace yet again, hoping Mike Smith can get her into the clear, turning into the lane. I'll go 4, 9, 8, 5 in the Grade 3 Autumn Miss, the feature race on closing day at Santa Anita Sunday. If you're betting the card from home, please sign up to DRF Bets. You know what to do. DRF.com/fall, promo code FALL300. You get a $300 sign-up bonus. Approximate post time for the Grade 3 Autumn Miss, 4:30 Pacific. Best of luck.